All right, so let's unpack this whole stack of research you've sent us about UiPath. You're
Mm.
clearly trying to understand if this is a company worth investing in.
Lots of buzz around RPA these days.
Right.
Robotic process automation.
Yeah, exactly.
And UiPath is often mentioned as a leader.
But, as always,
Okay.
got to go beyond the hype.
Exactly. You've got financial data market analysis, even a deep dive on the management team that's smart.
And that's what we're going to hit on for you today.
We will hit all of those points, don't you worry.
So by the end of this, you'll not only know the facts about UiPath, but also understand the why behind them and what it all means for your potential investment.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, so first things first, for anyone listening who might not be totally familiar with UiPath, what exactly is their bread and butter?
So at its core, UiPath is all about automation, specifically for businesses.
Okay.
Think software robots taking over those tedious, repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
Data entry, invoice processing stuff nobody enjoys doing.
Yeah, nobody likes doing that stuff.
Their mission is a robot for every person. Pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah.
We'll dig into whether they can pull it off.
All right, so how do they make money?
So the company makes money through subscriptions. Clients pay for access to their platform and the robots that do the work.
Okay, so it's not like you're going out and buying a robot.
No. It's access to the platform.
Okay.
They also offer consulting services, so it's not just a tech play.
Right, so they're sort of helping companies to implement these automations as well.
Exactly.
And speaking of the tech, what kind of products do they actually have?
They've got a whole suite of products.
Okay.
So there's UiPath Studio. Think of it like a digital Lego set where you build your automations.
Okay, like drag and drop.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then there's UiPath Robots, the actual digital workers that carry out the tasks you designed.
Oh, so they have different names for each one.
Yeah.
Got it.
Then there's UiPath Orchestrator, the command center, to monitor and manage all those robots.
So you can kind of keep an eye on everything, make sure it's all running smoothly.
Keep them in line, exactly.
All right, well, that makes sense.
And they're pushing boundaries with AI integration and cloud-based robots for even more flexibility.
So they're really staying ahead of the curve.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's impressive. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the team behind all of this.
Okay.
Who are the people steering the UiPath ship?
So their CEO, Daniel Dines, is actually one of the co-founders.
Okay.
So he's been there since the very beginning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's seen the company through some massive growth spurts and navigated those choppy waters when they were burning through cash pretty quickly.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. But overall, he and the leadership team have shown they can adapt and make the tough calls when needed.
And that's really important, especially in the tech world, right? Things change so rapidly.
Exactly. You need someone who's steady at the helm.
You need a captain.
You need a captain, absolutely.
Absolutely. But beyond just sort of navigating the growth, there's a lot of talk these days about ethics and AI. How does UiPath approach that?
That's a really important point. One thing that stands out is their commitment to transparency. They're pretty open about how their AI works and the data it uses. Plus, they've made a point of emphasizing ethical practices when it comes to things like data privacy.
Okay.
They seem to recognize that building trust is just as important as building cool tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially for investors, knowing that a company is thinking about the ethical side of things, that can be a big plus. Huge plus.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the money talk. What does UiPath's financial picture look like?
Okay, so with a market cap over $8 billion, they're not exactly playing small ball here.
No, they're not.
Their revenue growth has been pretty impressive.
Okay.
And those gross margins are sitting pretty at over 80%.
Wow.
However, profitability has been a bit up and down. There have been some losses along the way, which is something to watch closely.
Yeah, it's never fun to see those red numbers.
No, it's not. But I imagine in a fast-growing tech company, there are going to be periods where they're prioritizing expansion over squeezing out every last penny of profit.
Absolutely. They're in growth mode,
Yeah.
investing heavily in R&D to stay ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to AI.
That makes sense.
But the good news is they're generating positive free cash flow,
Okay.
which means they're bringing in more cash than they're spending on operations.
So that's a good sign.
That's a very healthy sign.
Yeah. All right. So that's a good snapshot of their financials. But we know there's more to the story than just the company's internal numbers. What's the outside world saying about UiPath? Let's unpack market sentiment and get into the nitty-gritty next.
Well, when it comes to UiPath, the market seems to have a bit of a split personality.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some analysts are practically giddy
Uh-huh.
with excitement about their potential, while others are taking a more cautious wait-and-see approach.
Interesting. So kind of all over the map.
Yeah, and that uncertainty is reflected in the range of price targets we're seeing, which are all over the place from $13 to $19.
That's quite a spread.
It is.
What do you think is driving those differing opinions?
I think it boils down to a classic battle between potential and risk.
Okay.
On one hand, you've got UiPath's strong market position and their aggressive moves in the AI space, which are definitely attracting those bullish investors. But on the other hand, there are those concerns about profitability and the fact that they're facing some stiff competition.
So some are drawn to the potential, others are a little hesitant about the risks.
Exactly, a bit of a tug of war.
You mentioned something earlier that caught my attention, that UiPath's price-to-earnings ratio is actually below the industry average.
Right.
What does that tell us?
Well, it's a data point that some investors interpret as a sign that UiPath might be undervalued.
Okay.
Of course, there are always reasons why a stock might be trading at a discount, and it's important to dig deeper and understand those reasons. But for those who are willing to take on a bit more risk, that lower PE ratio could be a tempting opportunity.
It's like finding a designer dress on the clearance rack. You got to wonder why it's there, but sometimes it's just a hidden gem.
Exactly.
Speaking of hidden gems, are there any recent developments or news surrounding UiPath that are worth highlighting? Anything that might be impacting investor sentiment?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. First, UiPath has been making a lot of noise about their focus on agentic AI,
Agentic.
which is essentially about building AI that can act more independently and proactively.
So not just automating tasks, but actually like creating AI agents that can make decisions and take actions on their own.
Exactly, next level stuff.
That's really interesting.
And alongside that, they've been forging some strategic partnerships with major players in various industries. This signals that they're not just focused on building cool tech in isolation,
Right.
but are actively working to make sure that their solutions are integrated into the real world.
So it's all about real-world application. And those partnerships can also offer a valuable stamp of approval lending credibility to UiPath's offerings.
Absolutely.
Of course, every rose has its thorns.
Right.
What about the flip side? Are there any recent events or developments that might be causing some investors to hesitate?
Well, one thing that keeps popping up is the concern about competition from those tech behemoths like Microsoft and Salesforce.
Oh, yeah. They've got pretty deep pockets.
Yeah, these giants have vast resources and established customer bases, so they can be formidable rivals.
Yeah, it's like David versus Goliath in a way.
It is.
But, I mean, haven't there always been competitors in the tech space? What makes these particular competitors so concerning?
Well, it's not just about the size of these companies, but also the fact that they're increasingly incorporating automation and AI capabilities into their existing product suites.
Right.
This means that UiPath is not just competing with specialized RPA companies anymore,
Right.
but also with those offering a broader range of integrated solutions.
So it's a more complex and crowded battlefield than it used to be.
It is.
UiPath needs to prove they can hold their own against those industry titans.
They do.
Speaking of proving themselves, let's shift our focus to the people who have already put their money where their mouth is, the investors.
Okay.
What can you tell us about UiPath's ownership structure? Who are the key players holding the stock?
One thing that stands out is the significant presence of institutional investors.
Okay.
We're talking big names like Vanguard and BlackRock, which manage massive portfolios and are generally considered pretty savvy when it comes to picking winners.
So those institutional investors are putting their stamp of approval on UiPath. That's got to be reassuring for other potential investors.
It can be a positive signal. It suggests that those with deep pockets and teams of analysts have done their homework and see value in UiPath.
Right. But it's not just about those big institutions, right? What about individuals who work at UiPath? Do they have a stake in the company's success?
Insider ownership is actually quite high at UiPath, which is often seen as a good sign. It indicates that those who are closest to the company's operations and strategy believe in its future after all, who would be more likely to invest in a company they believe in than the people who work there.
It's like putting your money where your cubicle is.
Exactly.
But of course, just because insiders own stock doesn't mean they're all blindly optimistic. One more crucial area we need to explore before we wrap up. It's time for a risk check. Let's do a quick SWOT analysis of UiPath to get a clear picture of where they stand. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks with this SWOT analysis, starting with the good stuff. What are UiPath's biggest strengths? What are they bringing to the table that makes them stand out?
Well, first off, they've built a really strong reputation. They've become a real leader in the RPA space. Their platform is known for being comprehensive,
Yeah.
covering the whole 9 yards from identifying processes to automate all the way through to managing those automations at scale.
So they're not messing around.
No, they're not. And they're not sitting still either. They're constantly innovating, adding new features, especially when it comes to AI, which is crucial in such a fast-paced tech landscape.
Yeah, they got to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Okay, so strengths check. What about weaknesses? Every company has them, so what are some of UiPath's vulnerabilities?
Well, as we touched on earlier, those inconsistent earnings and the ongoing quest for consistent profitability, those are definitely yellow flags.
Yeah, makes sense.
They need to demonstrate they can turn a profit consistently to ease investor concerns.
Right.
Another potential weakness is their reliance on the North American market.
Okay.
If that region experiences an economic downturn, it could significantly impact UiPath's revenue.
So spreading their wings geographically could be a smart move.
Definitely diversify and reduce risk.
Makes sense. What about opportunities? Where are the big growth areas or untapped potential for UiPath?
Well, the RPA market as a whole is exploding, and UiPath is perfectly positioned to ride that wave as more businesses embrace automation demand for their expertise, and platform is likely to surge.
Yeah, it seems like it's only going to get bigger from here.
Absolutely, and they've also got their sights set on expanding into new markets and industry verticals.
Okay, like what?
Healthcare, for example, is ripe for automation, and UiPath is making moves to establish themselves in that space.
Very interesting. So they're thinking strategically about where to plant those seeds for future growth.
Exactly.
Of course, with opportunity comes risk. What are some of the threats UiPath needs to be wary of?
Well, competition is heating up not just from other RPA specialists, but also from those tech giants with deep pockets and a hunger to dominate the automation landscape.
Right, we were talking about Microsoft and Salesforce earlier.
Exactly. And there's always the risk of their solutions becoming commoditized, which could lead to a race to the bottom on pricing.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
And as AI rapidly evolves, they need to be nimble and adapt quickly to avoid being left behind.
So it's a constant dance between innovation and disruption.
It is.
Okay, so we've dissected UiPath, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Let's bring it all together. What's the final verdict? Is UiPath a company you'd recommend investing in?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Based on the research you've provided, UiPath certainly ticks a lot of the right boxes. They have a strong market position, innovative products, a passionate team, and they're operating in a sector with massive growth potential.
But as we've discussed, they're not without their risks. Those inconsistent earnings, the competitive landscape, and the need to constantly adapt to technological advancements,
Yeah.
those are all factors that potential investors need to weigh carefully.
Absolutely. Investing is never a guaranteed win, and UiPath is no exception.
Right.
However, for those who are bullish on the future of automation and AI and who are willing to accept a certain level of risk, UiPath could be a compelling opportunity.
So it really comes down to individual risk tolerance and investment goals.
Exactly.
And remember, everyone, this is just our analysis based on the information you provided, and it's not financial advice.
Right.
Investing is a personal journey, and the best decisions are informed decisions.
Absolutely.
So do your own research, consult with a financial advisor if needed, and make sure you're comfortable with the risks involved before making any investment decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances.
And speaking of knowledge, we promised you a final thought-provoking question to ponder.
Oh, right.
We've explored UiPath's business model, their financials, the market sentiment, and even delved into the competitive landscape. But here's something else to consider. What if UiPath's real value lies not just in their technology, but in their potential to reshape the very nature of work itself?
It's a big idea,
Yeah,
but it's worth exploring. UiPath's vision is a robot for every person.
right.
If they even come close to achieving that, it could fundamentally change how we think about jobs productivity and even the balance between work and leisure.
So are we talking about a future where robots do all the work and humans just relax by the pool sipping margaritas?
Not quite. It's more about freeing humans from those repetitive, mind-numbing tasks that drain our energy and stifle creativity. Imagine a world where humans and robots work side by side, each leveraging their unique strengths to achieve greater efficiency and innovation.
So it's not about replacing humans, but about augmenting their capabilities and creating new opportunities for more meaningful work. It's a fascinating concept, and it certainly adds another layer to the UiPath story.
Exactly. And if UiPath is successful in driving this paradigm shift in the workplace, their impact could extend far beyond just financial returns. We're talking about a potential societal transformation that's hard to even quantify.
Yeah, it's a big picture perspective that investors might want to ponder. So, for those who are eager to dive deeper into UiPath and explore the broader trends in automation and AI, we've got you covered. We'll be sharing some links to valuable resources in the comments below.
And for more in-depth analysis and thought-provoking discussions like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Stock Analytics AI YouTube channel. We're passionate about making investing accessible and insightful. So hit that subscribe button and join our community of curious minds.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into UiPath. We hope you found this exploration informative and insightful. Remember, the future of work is evolving rapidly, and companies like UiPath are at the forefront of that transformation.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep investing wisely.